I have a tattoo. Would you like to see it? Here. Touch it.
What are you doing?
Isn't it obvious? I'm trying to seduce you.
Why?
Because I want to.
I can see again.
Please welcome to the stage board co-chair of the Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Community Center, Gwen Marcus.
Okay, well, now that I have your attention, I want to welcome you and thank you so much for generously supporting the center and celebrating this, the 12th annual women's event. We have a wonderful program this evening, followed by a great party. And for the one lesbian in the room who didn't recognize that clip, it was from the movie Bound, which is airing unedited in R-rated form on Showtime Women later this month. And no, I didn't just show it to hype Showtime shamelessly. And no, I didn't just show it for fun, although it was. We showed it because star Gina Gershon figures prominently in our live auction this evening, which is first on the agenda. We will then introduce and hear from our brand new executive director, as well as someone who's benefited from the center's Lesbian Cancer Initiative. And then in about 20 minutes, we'll give you an opportunity to chew and do some more schmoozing, so please hold off for now. And then we will resume to salute our two esteemed honorees for the night. And we have this program down to a science to get you on the dance floor as soon as possible. And now, ladies and gentlemen, now to introduce Glenda Testone, our new executive director. May I have your attention, please? Here is our longtime supporter, Dr. Yvette Burton. Senior Global Business Development Executive for IBM, one of our two Palladium sponsors for the evening, together with Center Board Member and President and CEO of the New York Women's Foundation, Ana Olviera. Thank you very much.
Glenda. I had the privilege of meeting Glenda when I was serving on the board of the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, and she was a rising star on staff that stood out and demanded attention. When I arrived, she had already convinced the New York Times to change their policy on same-sex couples for their wedding pages. She was leading all of GLAAD's programmatic work, and I had the privilege of working with her on a historic global initiative, a collaboration between GLAAD and IBM, expanding corporate social responsibility in the GLBT movement across Latin America. My long-term support of the center stems from a couple of years ago, I won't say how many, I served as a staff person, and I have the unique vantage point as a corporate supporter, as a former staff person, that over the last X amount of years, decades, appreciate the unique role that the center has in our movement and in the lives of so many people, not only in this city, not only around the nation, but around the world. And when I heard of Glenda's appointment, I could not have thought of a better match.
I want to begin introducing Glenda by acknowledging the leadership of all women who come before and who work with her, and also Gwen Marcus, incredible co-chair of our board. Because it is, leadership is a together venture, is a teamwork. It requires followership. And Glenda comes to the center at a time when she has an incredible team with the co-chairs of the board, the president of the board, and the other board members. But particularly thankful to Gwen for your incredible leadership. So I speak not only as a board member of the center, and I completely agree with Yvette that the center is it's kind of in the DNA of our community and our movement. But also as someone who was the first woman executive director of Gay Men's Health Crisis. And as such, I'm very mindful of how important, how transformational, both for those of us who have the privilege to do so, to serve in those capacities, but also for all of us in the community and all of us in the organizations when we serve. Because we literally lead on the shoulders of those who came before. We lead with those who are at the moment when these changes happen, but we also bring unique perspectives. And Glenda brings a kind of an experience in life that weaves very, very important threads at this moment in our movement. On the one hand, you heard that she worked at GLAAD, and there she comes from the fierce lineage of John Gary, and we are so thankful to you, John, because Glenda fought, as you heard, so ably for equality, for justice, for the LGBTQ community. And on the other hand, she comes from years of working as an executive at the Women's Media Center, and that's where she comes, she learned, she's soaked in the leadership of Jane Fonda, of Gloria Steinem, and therefore is also imbued in the women's movement. And this is a very important moment, as you all know, where the role of women in leadership is really a critical opportunity to be seized. In addition to that, the notion of the importance of serving community, the importance of having servant leadership, and I'll tell you, doing 2 lunches really shows servant leadership, in my opinion. It's a very good beginning, very generosity of Glenda to do that. And to be bold and to be so affirming. So Glenda brings all these threads that weave a very important cloth. And I want to say 2 things about that. The center is incredibly excited about your leadership, Glenda, because you bring a new voice, you will lead us forward, and you will be able to catalyze all of us in this room as your followers. And you will be able to generate an acceleration in the very movement that Yvette's talking about as we haven't seen before. So it is with incredible honor and incredible excitement that I introduce to you today the first ever woman executive director of the LGBT Center New York Center, Glenda Testone. Welcome her.
Thank you both so much for that amazing introduction. Thank you all for being here. I can't even begin to tell you what an honor and a privilege it is to stand before you tonight representing this life-changing and life-saving organization. Truly. It's very fitting that my first event as executive director of the LGBT Center is the women's event. After all, I do have a master's degree in women. Studies, women's studies. It would be a misperception, though, to think that because I'm the first woman executive director, that now the center is going to begin to address women's needs. The truth is, the center has always had programs for women. Whether it's Center Kids and Center Families, one of the only programs of its kind in the country, that helps lesbian couples have kids, parent, and find supportive community. And then there's our youth program, which helps young women come out and lead healthy and happy lives. And finally, there's the Lesbian Cancer Initiative that helps lesbian, bisexual, and transgender women find a supportive network when they're dealing with a cancer diagnosis. You know, that is why I love the center. Because when I come to the center, what I see when I walk in the door is solutions. I don't know about you, but I love what we do because we help real people live better lives. And I can't think of anything more important than that right now. It's why one of my first goals as executive director is to make sure that every LGBT person in this city knows they can find what they need and what they want at the center. And I want to start with all of you in this room tonight. I want to challenge you to go home and tell at least 5 other people about what you heard tonight. Tell them about the amazing people you met, the stories you heard, and about the magical possibilities of this organization. Because the bottom line is, wherever you are on your journey, whether you're coming out, finding a social circle, meeting a partner, getting healthy, getting a job, celebrating our culture, or just celebrating our lives, the center has something for everyone. If you haven't been there recently, I really want to say you should take another look. You should come to our doors because the center is really so much more than a building. It's actually a home. It's a family. It's a thriving, vibrant community that is inclusive of every single one of us. So I want you to join me. I want you to join me while we build on the rich history of service for the center, and we do even more to build community. There are over 300,000 people that come to the center every single year. Can you imagine the power if we could leverage those collective voices to advocate and make change? We could really get more resources for our community, more protection and support for our families, and we could finally get the basic equality that I know we all deserve. We don't have to imagine it. We can actually make it happen if we work together. So please, everyone who supports the center, thank you so much. And I want to not only be the person that you hear this from, I want to introduce you. It's my honor and privilege to introduce you to a center user who can really show you what happens within our doors. It is my pleasure to introduce Robin Goldman.
I came to the center in 2006 at a very hard time of my life. I'd been diagnosed with breast cancer and was looking to find support to help me through my illness and treatment. I'd been to other support groups, but as a lesbian, though I've been comfortably out in my adult life, I found that I was afraid to be fully myself in these groups because I might be rejected at a time when I really needed to connect. I found the Lesbian Cancer Initiative support group at the center. and I found a place where I could truly let go and be supported as all of who I am. I found an incredible and beautiful group of women who could hear what I was going through, the pain and fear of surgery, the nausea and anxiety and exhaustion of chemotherapy, and the breakdown of my long-term relationship with my partner. These women could hear all of that and be truly present with me. And that kind of support of my whole person, for me was essential to my healing. Sometimes when describing that time of my life, I say that 2006 was the year I lost 2 boobs and a wife. But what I gained was an open chest through which my heart can shine, and an ability to receive love, compassion, and connection in places I didn't expect or had never looked. The center was an essential part of that realization and growth for me. Now, almost 4 years after my diagnosis, I'm cancer-free, I have a wonderful new partner, and I'm training to become a hospital chaplain so I can help other people through health crises the way LCI helped me. I'm so thankful to the center for giving me a place to be all of who I am, a place that could hold me in my time of difficulty and can nurture the beauty that came from that time. I found a home at the center, and I'm so grateful to be here with you tonight, sharing that home.
Ladies and gentlemen, and the handful of men here tonight, please direct your attention to the screen.
But I'm gonna find my purpose, gotta find out, don't wanna wait, got to make sure that my life will be great, gotta find my purpose before it's too late.
Avenue Q is a musical all about being young and looking for love in New York City and just trying to figure out what you want to do with your life.
We based a lot of it on our own sort of coming of age and our own experiences.
Unzip their flies for porn.
No way you can walk out of there without feeling good about yourself and your life.
I can bring my mother-in-law who's 84 and she would love it.
People at Sword rave about it. It's a lot of laughs, good music, a lot of fun. That's what we're looking for.
I can make you feel special when it sucks to be you.
Thank you. An evening alone with my clicker, and a period of time, and a period in a past long ago. Yes, waiting for my favorite new primetime series to come on, Wonder Woman. Yes, and even though we live in a time full of gas lines, Billy Beer, and stagflation, I'm so happy that my roommate is not here to bother me. How much better could it get?
Hello, Robin.
Oh, hello, Lavinia. My God, were you ever young?
Robin, you'll never guess what happened to me in Greenwich Village at this lovely little coffee house. This very nice woman wearing these fabulous sandals was being so kind to me and smiling at me and talking to me.
Oh, that's very liberal.
Yes. You know, she was being so friendly, I think she was coming on to me. I think she might have thought I was gay.
Well, why are you telling me this? Why should I care? I don't care. What did you have for lunch today? Yogurt?
Well, now, Robin, there's no need to get all defensive.
I am not getting defensive. Why should I care about some hippie granola chick that you met? I am trying to watch television.
Oh, Robin, I didn't mean anything by it. I just think it's something that we should be able to talk about.
Well, I do not want to talk about it, Lavinia. This conversation is over.
Yes, but Robin...
Over.
Well, all right. But Robin, just so you know, if you were gay, that'd be okay. I mean, 'cause hey, I'd like you anyway. Because you see, if it were me, I would feel free to say that I was gay, but I'm not gay.
Lavinia, I'm waiting for Wonder Woman. What?
If you were queer,
Oh, Lavinia.
I'd still be here.
All right, enough of that.
Year after year.
I gotta watch that.
Because you're dear to me.
Oh.
And I know that you
I would what, Lavinia?
would accept me too.
I would?
If I told you today, hey, guess what? I'm gay, but I'm not.
Okay, television.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
Just
What else is on? Honey West, Barbarella.
So what should it matter to me what you do in bed with girls?
Oh, I couldn't!
Yes, you could!
Oh! No, can't hear you. La, 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 la. Oh, dear.
Count on me.
I can?
To always be.
I'd really rather not.
Beside you every day to tell you it's okay.
What?
You were just born that way.
Oh.
And as they say, it's in your DNA. You're gay.
No, I am not gay.
Look, if you were gay.
I love you, real me.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage star of stage, screen, and television, Molly Ringwald.
That was so great. Thank you so much. I apologize. I have laryngitis. I have to confess I'm terribly terrified of public speaking. And it's only because I love Robin Goodman so much that I'm here. Thank you. And I'm so honored and pleased to be here. And it's not just because I'm a big fan of Robin Goodman's, but I've always been a lifetime supporter of the lesbian and gay, bi, transgender community. And thank you. And I'm also really pleased that I was asked to be here because for some reason I've always been insecure. I've always known that gay men have loved me, but I've always been really insecure that I thought lesbians didn't like me. So not to get all Sally Fields on you, but you like me. I'm really happy about that. Anyway, so we all know that Robin Goodman is a theater powerhouse, and we all know that she's one of the driving forces behind such renowned productions as Avenue Q, yes, and West Side Story, and Metamorphosis, and In the Heights, and many, many others, Fat Boy, and you name it. And I had the good fortune to work with her on Tick, Tick, Boom, which was written by Jonathan Larson, a friend of mine. And unlike other theater producers, I think one of the most remarkable things about Robin Goodman is that, in my experience, she's never made a promise that she couldn't keep. And she doesn't make a lot of promises, but the ones that she does, she keeps. And in my experience, that really, truly is remarkable and important for anyone, but especially in a theater producer. And Robin has also been a fierce advocate for new and exciting theater talent. And she's always willing to give people chances. And she helped my friend Jonathan Larson find a home for Tick, Tick, Boom before the production that I participated in back in 1990 when it was called Boho Days. She was one of the producers of that. She co-produced that and gave Jonathan a chance when it was just a one-person show. And my friend Victoria Leacock, who got me involved with Tick Tick Boom. We were talking about Robin last night, and she told me that when Jonathan was doing Tick Tick Boom with her, Robin found out that he was working on Rent at the time, which was based on La Boheme, and Robin Goodman found out that he'd never actually seen La Boheme. So she bought him tickets and took him to the Met, and Jonathan and Robin went to go see La Boheme at the Met, which is another extraordinary thing for theater producers because they hate to give up tickets. A free ticket from a theater producer is extraordinary. And we all know what came of that. And so in preparing for tonight's speech, because this is kind of a speech, I reached out to Jeff Whitty, who is the librettist for Avenue Q, and asked him if he could share some of his best Robin moments. And like a true writer, he was more than happy to procrastinate from what he's really doing. And he wrote me back immediately. And so I brought his letter along, and I thought it would be better to read it to you instead of paraphrasing. So this is Jeff talking. I have a deep, deep affection for Robin. In a way, I owe her my writing career because she gave me my very first reading ever in New York City at Manhattan Theater Club about 11 years ago. It was just a little reading for a festival of up-and-comers, but having struggled like I had for previous years, I felt like I'd won the lottery. It meant so much and was truly my first foot in what had been a firmly closed door and proved, at least to me, her magnificent taste. And then she backed me for the Avenue Q librettist gig, and from that, well, things took off. So many producers in both the nonprofit and commercial spheres only support those with previous success, again and again. Robin instinctively knows that emerging artists are hungrier and will often produce more exciting results. And on a spiritual side, I think she gets a big bang out of giving young writers a voice. I really think that she does. And need I mention that Avenue Q persists after all this time? That's just good old-fashioned smart producing. And Robin gives the very, very best opening night cards. So Robin Goodman is not only one of my favorite lesbians and one of my favorite producers, she's one of my favorite people, and she's got a hot and talented girlfriend. Anna Luisos. And I think it's worth mentioning, in case nobody else does, that she was on stage in the 70s all naked and wild and shit. Bereft of being in New York theater in the 70s myself, I've always got Robin. I'm all high on Robin. I think that we all are. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the recipient of the Arts and Cultures Out Women of the Year Award, Miss Robin Goodman.
Thank you so much. Clearly, Molly and I are very close because I also have laryngitis. It's a little truth to that rumor, Molly. Thank you so much, Molly, for exposing my nakedness in front of everyone. I appreciate that. And thank you for your kind words, and I'll get Jeff Whitty tomorrow. I'm really overwhelmed with this. I feel like I really have the rabbi to thank for my filling the hall tonight, so I would like to thank. And I also should apologize to her. I didn't make it to High Holy Days this year. I promise next year I'll be there. I have Jen and Stephanie for that gender-bending version of If You Were Gay. I can't thank you enough. Thank you. It's fantastic. I had no idea my puppet was so talented. I think there's a future for her. Although I think she looks much older than I do. I don't know. I want to thank my friends who are now my family who are here tonight supporting the center and me, and especially Tom Curdahy, who nominated me for this honor without telling me. I think if you had told me, I probably would have said no, and I would have missed this extraordinary night, so thank you, Tom. Tom also arranged a tour of the center for me, and I tell you, I was ignorant about the center, and it just blew me away. The kind of work you're doing there, and Glenda, you will be doing there, is extraordinary. The services you're supplying for people are just so moving and wonderful. You know, I came out, I hate to admit it, in the late 70s and early 80s, I guess, late 70s, and before the center, and I could have used the center. It was a very difficult and painful coming out for me for many reasons. Some of it just the ordinary shame that some people feel, like myself at the time, when you realize that you're gay, and some people have a horrible mother like I did. Am I right, Meg? Yes. No, really, it only took her 20 years to accept me as a lesbian. You got to give her that. And I think she only accepted me because of my beautiful and talented lover, Annalisa. And I actually think aliens would accept Anna because she's so extraordinary. But I know what the center must mean to a lot of those young people who are going through what I went through, and I will continue to support you every day of my life, really. And the most important thing is that we continue the fight and the struggle for our civil rights. You know, in the 70s when I started, there was only maybe one playwright that I remember, Susan Miller, who's here tonight, who was writing wonderful plays about gay women, one of which I was in. And what was so wonderful about them is that there were no quotation marks around being gay. Actually, the plays were about them as human beings, not as gay women. She was so far ahead of her time. And now Susan is doing a web series. If you haven't seen it, I want you to go home tonight and watch it. It's called Anyone But Me. And it's a beautiful show, a drama about gay women. And so please, I advise you to check it out. Actually, you can if you win the auction, you can actually be on the show. So, and there's some hot chicks there. So, I was thinking of auctioning off Sarah Paulson tonight, but I don't want to compete with Gina Gershon, so I'm not going to do it. Anyway, thank you so much for this honor. It means a great deal to me, and I hope that very soon we can all walk down the aisle together and be completely free of our lack of civil rights, and that I can marry that beautiful woman over there along with all of us.
I want to thank Robin Goodman, and it's an honor to be receiving this award with you, Robin. Theater is another passion of my life. And I think we understand the power of the creative mind and talents to give us not just comfort and inspiration, passion and creative energy, which is what I hope we accomplish in a religious setting, what you've managed to accomplish in the theater, which is so important to so many of us. So thank you very much for all the work you do. I want to first, and without any other moment, thank the love of my life, Maggie Amorzwenig, who's here tonight, with our daughter, Molly, who many of you have known for many, many years. And I'd like to thank also, this honor really I take very seriously, and in a moment, in fact, in about 5 or 6 minutes, I'll tell you more. But before I get there, I really want to thank the people with whom I work so closely day in, day out. I want to ask the board of CBST to stand. And I know it's dark, but I'd like to ask all the board members of CBST to stand. I'd like to ask all the staff members of CBST to stand who are here tonight. And I'd like to ask all the CBS team members who are here tonight to stand. And I'd like to ask those who have come to High Holiday services but have not yet joined to stand. Steve, will you notice who they are? On my first day at CBST in August of 1992, Irving Cooperberg of beloved memory met me at the door with his partner Lou Rittmaster. They welcomed me into the sanctuary at Bethune Street, walked me up to the bema, and they made me stand between them, facing the empty seats of the congregation. And Irving said to me, "There will be many, many, many days where you will be extremely frustrated. Gay people are impossible to deal with. Jews are impossible to deal with. New Yorkers are impossible to deal with. You put that together, we are now giving you the most difficult community in the world to lead." He said to me, Lou said to me, "But whatever happens, remember it's all about the people who are sitting in those seats. The real three-dimensional people, the lives we live, the passions we have, the dreams we embody. That's what it's all about." He then took me before we did anything else, and he said, "I'm going to take you to the next most important institution in New York City." And he walked me over to 13th Street to the LGBT Center. Before I did anything else, introduced me to Richard Burns. And he said, "You two are my best hires. And I, who don't have any children and will not have any children of my own, I see the two of you as carrying on all the work that I believe in." Irving, only a few years earlier, as only some people in this room will remember, when the building on 13th Street became available from the city, it was Irving Cooperberg who organized the donations to make it possible to buy that building before the city gave it up and took the offer off the table. Irving Cooperberg, CBST's former chair and one of my personal mentors, along with Marcy Khan, Judge Marcy Khan, who I know is here tonight, were the first leaders of the LGBT Center. And in a few days, Irving had raised the money to make the deposit on the building on 13th Street. And he did it when everybody said the community couldn't raise that kind of money. And he did it because he said to me he had one principle by which he lived. And I try every single day to embody that principle. He quoted from the Mishnah, "Al tifrosh min hatzibur." Don't separate yourself from the community. He said to me, what gay people have not understood is that our lives are going to be strengthened by community, not just by personal satisfaction and by our personal lives being happy. We have to be part of a community. We can argue, we can debate, we can scream, we can holler, but don't turn your back on community. Irving embodied community in everything he did. And it's really in his memory that I think that much of the work I do every day gets the energy, and I feel like I'm carrying Irving's spirit with me. I pray every day that he remains proud of me wherever he is. The day he died, I crawled into bed with him, and I just started reciting Psalms as the breath was leaving his body. And I just said to him, "Irving, please pray for us wherever you're going. Pray for me in the work that I'm going to be doing." And I will never forget the community. The Gay and Lesbian Community Center and CBST have this long and deep and profound connection one to the other. And that connection continues, and I'm very, very, very proud of it. Irving didn't want CBST to be located at the community center, however. He felt there needed to be some separation. And an example of this, and I share this as I close my remarks, that's the 5-minute mark, okay? This past August 2nd, a masked gunman entered a gay and lesbian community center in Tel Aviv, in which a support group for children, for 13 to 18-year-old GLBT folks, was taking place. There were 14 people in that community center having this support group. The masked gunman clearly had military training, and he targeted every single person in the room. 2 ran out of the room. He killed 2, and everybody else was wounded. One 16-year-old girl was hiding behind a couch, and he kicked aside the couch, and at deadly force, in close proximity, he killed her. The wounds, by and large, were aimed at the groin area. He escaped into the city life of Tel Aviv on a Saturday night, and nobody has been able to catch him. The next day, we started to organize a vigil. We did it not alone, but we did it with the GLBT Center to create a sense that our broader, not just the Jewish community, was mourning this tragedy. This is the first time in history that we know of that violence, anti-gay violence, has taken place in a gay community center. CBST, with the Gay Center, organized a vigil at which the heads of major Jewish organizations, the heads of many of the gay organizations, but most importantly, the youth from the YES program, the Youth Enrichment Services program, and the Youth Pride Chorus came to this vigil. Kids that the center has been supporting since its beginning. These kids, the counselors later told us, most of them didn't even know where Israel was. But they know about violence because of the violence they experience every day on the streets, and many of them in their homes. And the counselors, under the fantastic direction of Jenny DeBauer, who directs the Youth Enrichment Services at the center, the counselors later told me that all of the kids who chose to come to the vigil were the kids who had experienced the most extreme violence in their own lives. And through our connection, these kids were able to take what they knew about violence, come to the CBST Gay Community Center vigil. It was fabulous. The Youth Pride Chorus is a gem in the center. The kids sang that Cyndi Lauper song, True Colors. It was with the wonderful keyboardist. They sang we were all just sobbing. Let your true colors show. These kids were teaching us. And one of the young men from the community center, I had spoken to them before about whether the kids wanted to speak. The counselors weren't sure whether they would be comfortable doing that. During the vigil, one of the boys, Michael Rivera, came up to me and he said, "Rabbi, can I speak?" He came up to the podium and he gave, and all the Yes kids were surrounding him, he gave a deeply moving talk in his own language, in his own words, about what he experienced as a young gay man on the streets of New York and his sense of connection to these kids in Tel Aviv who were at that moment wounded or funerals were happening that day. We then organized with CBST and the Gay and Lesbian Community Center, thanks to Mario Palumbo on the center's board and Hamie Curiel on the CBST and the center's board. We're happy to share him with you, but you should know we're sharing him. We brought to New York for Yom Kippur in a week, and this was at the last minute, 8 LGBT kids from Israel as a delegation to show them that there's a broader community who cares about violence against young GLBT people. And they spent that week under Jenny DeBauer's staff's supervision, working with the Yes Kids. The Yes Kids taught them how to Vogue. They taught them all the dirtiest words in Hebrew and Arabic. It was a great cultural exchange. These kids are still very close. They Facebook each other all the time, if I've used that verb correctly. And this is another example of our working together. These youth are our future. We sit at these tables. We've paid a lot of money to be here. We feel like we've done a lot to accomplish the world in which we live, and we have. But notice what happened last week in Maine, and this coming week in New York is unsure. But every day there's violence against young people. We have an obligation both to the children of our families and to the children of the LGBT community. And I want to read you some words from a letter from an 18-year-old gay kid in Israel to Haimi. And Haimi, I apologize, but I'll leave out anything that identifies him. Today is a month after I came back to Israel after the Mishlachat, the delegation, and it is amazing how I am still full of subjects to think about from New York. This was the first time I've ever been outside of Israel. I'm especially grateful meeting everyone, especially you, Haimi. It was a huge experience for me. I've never met gay adults in my life, especially not those whose world is bigger than I think before and that life can go in a lot of ways, not only those I imagined. Meeting you give me the hope that I can find a place where I can feel comfortable and make my dreams come true. And that's what we are about here, making sure that dreams can come true for the young GLBT people of the world, here in Israel, in France, in Saudi Arabia, in Latin America, in Africa. We have a commitment as the adults in a community which is now blessed with many things. And we just remember Irving's words always. Don't separate yourself from the community. Glenda, I'm delighted on behalf of CBST to welcome you to the LGBT community leadership in New York City. And let us never forget our responsibilities, and let us never forget our blessings. Shabbat Shalom.